Hello Plarp Nation. I am trying out a new way to record videos. Yes, I'm outside. I am bathed in UV light right now. I am suffering for the channel. I'm trying to film something somewhere other than my studio that I was using before, because those walls and that lamp was getting pretty boring to look at, I think. So hopefully this is a better backdrop. This video today is going to be the first in a series where I talk about crappy jobs that I've had. The one I want to talk about today was probably the most memorable one. I worked at a gas station. It was in Laguna Beach. Last worked there, I think it was 2015 or so. That's when I got fired from that job. I worked there over a year. I don't remember exactly, year and a half, something like that. It was a gas station in Laguna Beach, California. It was really close to the beach. It was 500 feet from the shore, actually. Like, I measured it on Google Earth. So that was an interesting thing about that place. It was a gas station job and it was minimum wage, but I had an ocean view from where I was working, so that was kind of fun. This job was memorable for a number of reasons. Working the graveyard shift is just crazy. It's a really unique experience to be awake and active during this time of day when 99% of the world is asleep. My shift was from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I'd roll in there at 11 p.m. I would count out the register. I remember that was the first thing. You needed to have $200 petty cash, it was called, which was $200, and it was some 20s, 5s, and 1s, some combination of those, mostly 5s and 1s, that you would use to make change with. And you had to count out your register at the end of every shift, I think at the beginning of every shift, to make sure you weren't stealing any money. Very standard cashier type stuff for that job. The job was very straightforward. I would just stand there at a cash register, and it was this little 15 by 15 foot cube of a store. It was fluorescently lit. Just a very small environment to work in, and you were very cramped in there. Basically, you would just stand there at the cash register, and people would come in and say, "Hey, I want $10 on pump number 3 or something," and you'd type it into the register and, do the transaction. And sometimes people would want a receipt, print them up a receipt. It was a minimum wage job. When I worked there, I was paid $9.50 an hour to do that job, which at the time in California was the minimum wage, $9.50 an hour. So they paid me minimum wage to work there, and I never forgot it. I never let that fact be far from my mind when I was working there. My attitude basically was minimum wage, minimum effort. I am not gonna go all out at this job. I'm not gonna do anything but the bare minimum, just like you're paying me the bare minimum. $9.50 an hour. If they had paid me $9.49 an hour, 1 cent less, it would have been illegal. The state of California would have come in and told them to knock it off, and this is exploitative what you're doing. 1 cent less, it would have been illegal. Never let that be far from my mind while I was working there. When I first started working at that gas station, it was called Thrifty Gasoline, and then they changed the branding on it, and then it was USA Gasoline, and I think now it's Shell, and it kind of switched branding and switched owners every few years. There was a bigger, nicer gas station with a nicer store that had like sliding glass doors, and it was a real nice gas station right across the street from the gas station I worked at. That was a Chevron station. That was really nice, and they got a lot of our business, and we were always competing with that really nice gas station. The people at this job, I don't remember my coworkers that much. I do remember there was this one guy, let's say his first name started with a J. Jay, he was just an average dude working at that gas station. He told me one time he was working there and he found a bag of weed in the gutter, and it was like a whole Ziploc bag full of bud. And California, especially Southern California, in that area, there's a lot of weed going around, a lot of people selling weed legally, because it's legal in California. But it wasn't completely unbelievable to imagine that he found a bag of weed out there one night in the gutter, and So I was always on the lookout. I was working there from 11 to 7 in the morning, just kind of keeping an eye on the gutters around the store, making sure no one's dropping off anything valuable or nice there. I never found any, but it was fun to look. Another one of my coworkers, he was kind of similar to me in a lot of ways. He was into comedy and like stand-up comedy, and would go to open mics, and just working at the gas station just kind of to earn a little money while he pursued more of an entertainment career, I think. He told me, and I had no reason to not believe him, that he saw Louis C.K. once, and he yelled at him, "Hey, go suck a bag of dicks." He was the guy who yelled at Louis C.K., "Hey, go suck a bag of dicks." And then Louis C.K. incorporated that into his act or whatever, but I believe him. I think he was the guy who yelled that at Louis C.K. So, like I said, I worked in a little mini-mart type thing that was attached to the gas station where you would go in to pay for gas. There was also energy drinks and cigarettes and lotto tickets and crap you could buy. The reason for that store existing, by the way, at all gas stations is that gas stations don't make money on selling gas. They break even on selling gas. They don't turn a profit from that. The oil companies take all the profit, pretty much. So if you're a gas station owner, you're trying to squeeze every last dime out of people that you can. So you have these products for sale. You're selling lotto tickets, energy drinks, chips, and whatever. So yeah, it was horrible when someone would come in and actually look in the store and try to buy food or cigarettes or whatever. Some people would do that sometimes, and I just handle the transaction. But I much preferred just everyone kind of paying out at the pumps and handling it themselves. And rarely or never would someone come in the store and I could just stand there and be on my phone, just like going online, watching YouTube videos. I watched so many YouTube videos. I was on my phone 80% of the time I was working there. I was just looking at my phone. Like I said, minimum wage, minimum effort. Yeah, I hated when people would come into the store and buy stuff. That was always annoying. Finally, the customers. I worked there long enough that I had 2 regular customers that I can think of. They were both annoying, but in different ways. One guy was a delivery driver for a local Italian restaurant, and he would come in and gas up his car at our gas station. But he would always come in and ask for a receipt because he needed the receipt to get reimbursed from his employer. He would just talk to me and just talk and talk and talk. He was a time vampire, this guy. He was kind of short and bald, and he had like a New York accent. He was from New York, obviously. He might have been Jewish or Italian. I think Jewish. I'm not sure. And this guy would just talk my ear off about, he had a hobby of home recording. He would like re-record albums, like reverse engineer all the tracks off them and separate the drums and vocals and whatever, and then remix it and then try to mix it better or something. I didn't fully understand it, but he made me a mix CD of Muse, which is a band that I liked at the time. But my point is, this guy would just come in, and I was way too nice, and I was on the clock. I was getting paid to stand there, so I tolerated him for as long as I could, I guess. But he obviously was like looking for someone to just, will you pay attention and just stand there and let me talk at you for 20 minutes? He was one of those kind of people, just endlessly taking up my time about random crap. That guy was awesome compared to, there was a homeless man who would come in to the store sometimes. He would wander around Laguna Beach at night, and this guy was a middle-aged white man. He looked like a wealthy country club guy, like his face, and he was blonde, and he looked like a professional person. He was a professional person. He was an investment banker, I think for like Merrill Lynch or Smith Barney maybe. And during the 2009 financial subprime mortgage crisis, I guess he lost his job, he lost everything, and just ended up on the street. And I worked there around 2012, 2013, I think, when I started working there. And this guy was just in a bad way. He was mentally kind of out of it, lost his mind, I guess, from losing his job and losing everything, would just wander the streets at night. He had a cane because he could barely walk because of lymphedema in his legs. He had all these like chronic health problems. Lymphedema is where fluid accumulates in your legs and it seeps out, and it's a horrible, painful thing to deal with, and it affects your ability to walk. This guy he would urinate on himself. He couldn't control his bladder. He would reek of urine. He would come into the store and yell at me about crazy stuff and be, ridiculous and ask to use the bathroom. And I would try not to let him use the bathroom, because I think I let him use the bathroom one time and he completely destroyed it, and it was horrible. And just, this guy, I think about him a lot in terms of, like, he was normal, he was wealthy, he had a family and a job and a career, and now he's wandering around at 3 a.m. going into random gas stations, just wandering the streets, muttering to himself, reeking of urine. You can fall so far, so fast in this country. It's truly astonishing. I think about that guy a lot. Like, I hope he's okay, but in my heart of hearts, I know he's probably not with us anymore. I don't know. I hope he's all right. I remember one time he came in the store and he physically threatened me with this cane, and he was screaming about something, and he was waving his cane around, and he waved it, so violently it was like 6 inches from my face at one point. That's when I kicked him out of the store, and I just I felt sorry for that guy, but I didn't know what to do. So the gas station was really close to the ocean, as I mentioned. I remember one time I was working, just standing at the cash register, bored, dejected, feeling kind of sad about my life. It's 2, 3 a.m., just pitch black, no cars on the road. The gas station was right next to PCH. PCH is normally a very busy highway during the day. At night, you could have a picnic on there, and just, no cars, nobody around. I was just kind of staring out in the fluorescent store, behind the cash register, feeling dejected and sad about my life, that I was working there at this crappy job and whatever. I look to my left, I look out to the ocean, I see a wave crashing on the shore. There's a dorsal fin and then a blowhole spout of, like, exhaling, air. Like, there were dolphins in the waves playing around, splashing around when I looked over there. And it completely distracted me from feeling sorry for myself and feeling sad about my situation or whatever. It was like a little sign from God, like, hey, shut up for a second. I know you hate working this job and you're bummed out about things. Check out these dolphins. Like, isn't that neat? And I thought it was neat. That was a nice, happy little memory of working there, seeing those dolphins. So yeah, the gas station job. I think about it a lot. If it was the job that stuck with me the most, definitely. All right.